So, first of all, I just want to say that I've been a part of your meeting now for maybe maybe a year and a half now, and I feel so connected. And I just want to thank you that even though I'm in Paris in spirit, I just want to thank you for welcoming me and letting me be a part of. And that's the beauty of Al-Anon. And I'm just so grateful to have friends in the program in other countries through Zoom. I was asked to speak last year, and last year I shared about growing up in an alcoholic home. So instead of repeating myself, I thought this time I would share experience, strength, and hope around the 12 steps. So I'm going to share a story about regards to steps 1, 2, and 3. And it's a kind of a scary story that happened to my husband. He and his sister had their cousin from out of town, and they thought it'd be a good idea to go tubing down a river in our state. And while they were tubing, the cousin fell out of the inner tube. And that's when they found out that he couldn't swim. And so my husband, who is smaller than his cousin, tried to jump in and save the cousin. And the cousin was panicking and fighting him and so fearful, and was almost going to drown the both of them. And my husband kept telling him, stop fighting, stop it, you're going to kill us both. And he just was so fearful, he just kept flailing his arms. They went down again, and my husband was thinking, I'm going to have to punch him in the face to knock him out so I can save him and me. And he said, but he's telling me the story, and he said, I'm going to try one more time. He went down underwater and really just pushed his cousin, and his cousin luckily made it to the side. And the reason why I relate that so much to steps 1, 2, and 3 is that, this is what I do in the disease of alcoholism. I'm flailing, I'm reacting, I'm fighting everything. And if there's someone who can restore me to sanity or help me, I'm fighting that, and I go down. And, I went to Al-Anon once, and then I left. And it's almost like, okay, you're going to have to get knocked out by life to get help. And I hit my bottom, and I came back to Al-Anon the second time. And I stayed in Al-Anon. And so steps 1, 2, and 3 around this story is step 1, admitted that I can't swim and my life has become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that someone who can swim can restore me to safety. And 3, made a decision to let that experienced swimmer help me. And that's steps 1, 2, and 3 around that story. And sometimes I'm so stubborn, that's what it takes. I have to be knocked out before I will receive help. Luckily, since program, I don't really need it to be that bad anymore, to be in that much crisis and that much desperation. So I'm grateful today for that. Step 4. When I started my first 4th step with my sponsor, we went through the Blueprint for Progress. And if you know that book, there's like 25 million chapters with gazillions of questions. And you figure, I spend about 15 minutes per question with my sponsor. That book took me 3 years and 10 months to finish with my sponsor. And I don't want to scare anyone, but that's just my experience. It was very thorough. It felt like exploratory surgery. It was so thorough. And I was so grateful when it was done I decided to have a graduation party at my house. So I had like 30 people. We had a potluck. We had the cap and gown and just kind of had fun with it. And because I was like 3 years and 10 months, there's people with people get law degrees in less time than that, and someone taught me in the program that adult children don't know how to celebrate things. So I get to learn how to celebrate things, and now and I get to learn how to have fun. And that is a gift. And nowadays, when something comes up, I immediately go to the column method of the 4th step. I like that. It's a real good spot check. What is the situation? What am I resentful at? What is the cause of that? John stepped on my foot, and 3, what are the triggers around that? Oh, I'm angry. I'm scared. I'm judgmental. I deserve it for, all these triggers that come up. And then what is my part? Well, I didn't tell John to get off my foot, and then I run through the 12 steps in 15 minutes. And that it's a worksheet, an Al-Anon worksheet that you can apply to any given situation. You just run all 12 steps around it. And the concept is it should be over in 15 minutes. Not the feelings, but you're running the 12 steps through it. So when I get to step 5, there's a question on the worksheet that says, what are my core beliefs that cause me grief? And almost every single time, I have 3 core beliefs that are 90% of my problems. And core belief 1 is, if he, she, they, it, traffic, the airlines, the government would do things the way I want them to, I would be okay. That causes me a lot of unmanageability. The second core belief that causes me grief is I am not blank enough, pretty enough, smart enough, young enough, so forth. That also gets me in trouble. The third core belief that causes me grief is, yeah, God helped me out a gazillion times in the past, but not this time. This is going to be the time that I'm not going to be helped and I'm going to be alone and he's going to abandon me. And so those 3 core beliefs are the 3 that are probably about 90% of my problems in life that make my life unmanageable. And those are pretty much like the exact nature of my wrongs. And, then when I go through this process, I can admit to myself, I can admit to God, then I can admit to you the exact nature of my wrongs. Okay, steps 6 and 7. This is willingness and then humility. And, when I'm ready to have my character defects removed, and then I humbly ask God to remove my character defects, and I think that I am done at that point, because once I've asked, here's my fantasy, God will take his magic wand, bing, and my character defects are gone. And that's not the way it works. I have learned that it's a process, and it's a lot of 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of dance with this. And sometimes for me, it is the most difficult people who help me remove my character defects. And I hate it, and I resist it every freaking step of the way. One example is there was an individual who was very controlling. She violated a lot of boundaries. And my MO is that I would rather jump off a cliff than set a boundary with you, than to have a confrontation. And And, it was so relentless that I had to stand up. I had to address this. And actually what happened was she brought it up. She brought up a situation that she wanted me to do in a public forum. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're going to do this here in public. So I set my boundary. I stated why I'm setting my boundary, and it was, in front of other people. And actually, I had a lot of feedback afterwards, surprisingly, that said, wow, I really appreciated what you did. I admired that, and I was shaking because I don't like to do that. I don't like to be confrontational or have to say something and set a boundary, and especially in a public forum. So that was really hard. But I look back on that over time and go, you know what? She was a difficult person, but my best teacher. And she helped me up my game in my recovery. She helped me set a boundary. She helped me become a healthier person. And I can be thankful for that. Does it mean I want to hang out with her? No, I don't. But I can be thankful for these people that come in and help me grow. So that's kind of like steps 6 and 7, my experience around that. And sometimes when sponsees tell me, oh, so-and-so did this, and this person's doing that to me, and blah, 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 blah. And people don't want to hear it at the time, but I have said, someday you're going to be thanking them for helping you grow in your recovery. And I get the cricket. Don't even tell me that right now, or I will fire you. But that's my experience, and that's the strength and hope that I can share. So I'm grateful. I'm not grateful at the time sometimes. Sometimes my gratitude comes afterwards. Okay, steps 8 and 9, the amends steps. Wow, I really got stuck on step 8. I really resisted because I was so obsessed with the future. And what if I find this person and make amends and they do this or that or the other? And my sponsor had to keep bringing me back to, we're not at step 9, Hannah. We're just making the list. We're just making the list, because my obsession into the future was keeping me paralyzed in the present. And isn't that a lot of the way I lived life before program? So she really had to kind of really help me go real slow and go, we're just making the list. Do not go into step 9 yet. And so I was able to do that. We learned, put ourselves on the list, did that. And when I got to step 9, I need a sponsor to help me decide, is a direct amends wise or is a living amends wise? What warrants harm? What constitutes harm? Will I harm myself? Will I harm the other? Because I don't want to do that. And I also had to learn to let go of the outcome. So my very first amends was I decided to write checks to my former employers, because I stole from them. And I stole merchandise at stores that I worked at. And I thought, well, I don't know, because these are big faceless corporations. Who cares? They're not missing the money. And, why should I do? But, the program has taught me that this is about my recovery, and it is the thing for me to do. I can do this. So I did. I wrote checks to former employers, and I wrote a letter as to why I am sending this check. You know, I'm in a spiritual program. This is part of my practice. And I really thought, they're not going to do anything. They're probably not even going to cash the checks. And I thought, well, good. Then I can check off step 9 and keep the money. Not the healthiest thinking. And no, they cashed them. They cashed them. and I thought, wow. And I thought, don't I get some acknowledgement? Something for paying you back, you know? I thought maybe I get a thank you card, some response. Like, you know, thanks for stealing from us 25 years ago and now paying us back. No card, no response. And since that was my first amends, I was like, uh-oh, I really kind of got to let go. I got to work more on letting go of the outcome because I was kind of obsessed about that. So then I moved on to individuals from my past and reached out to some people. And it's interesting, the feedback that I got. One person, I remember, she was like, oh, no, we were teenagers. You know, I understand girl drama and all this stuff. Don't even worry about it. Great. And then I got one person I made amends to, and she was like, okay, thanks. Have a nice life. Kind of like, fine, get out of my face. And I actually ran into her a couple years later at a memorial service, and she ignored me, and I almost reached out and tapped her on the shoulder. And I thought my motive would be just to make her talk to me. And I went, no, part of my amends is to leave her alone. That's part of my amends. That's what she obviously wants. So I let go of my motive and carried through with the living amends in regards to her. Some people, I got some inappropriate responses, and it's like, okay, I did my part, but I'm not going to respond to that. And some people didn't respond to me at all. And so it feels like I've run the gamut with responses, and I can let go of all of that because I've learned that that's none of my business. I don't need to be attached to the outcome. Okay, step 10. So in the area of mistakes were not allowed while growing up. You got super harsh punishments for making a mistake. And so I took away from that to be perfect. And I could not separate the difference between I made a mistake and I am a mistake. So the two were the same. And Al-Anon taught me that there's a difference. There's a difference. It's okay to make mistakes. I learned this in program doing service. I could not believe that it was okay. And I didn't get punished, and I didn't get, shamed or anything. And so today I give myself a freedom to make mistakes. I make a lot of mistakes. I made a mistake with one individual. Someone got upset with something I did, and I didn't mean to do it, and I apologized. And what I've also learned in the program is to give other people the dignity to be mad at me. This person was still mad, went and told other people about what I did, and heard back from other people. And I said, that's okay. That's okay. This person has the dignity to be mad. I did my part. And so I didn't take that on. I was able to let go of it. I knew I had enough recovery to go, I made an amends. I know I didn't mean to do this, but I did say I was sorry, and I did say I wouldn't do it again. And that's all I can do. And so I let that go, and that was that person's business. Okay. I'll wrap up with the last two steps real quick. So I heard that we make so many mistakes that there's a whole step dedicated to that, and that's step 10. Step 11 is the prayer that's very much tied to step 3. I pray for the knowledge and the power to carry that out. I had a stepdaughter that got into a bad car accident 2 weeks after she got her license. And guess what? The next car she wanted a sports car. Now, I can ask my God for what I want. I can say, God, I want a sports car. But God, knowing better, knows that that's not what I need. And we knew that that's what our daughter did not need, is a sports car after you just wrecked another car at age 16. So I can ask for what I want, but I have to trust that God knows what's best for me. So that's step 11. Step 12, carrying the message and practicing these principles in all our affairs. We had a fitness teacher. I had a fitness teacher. She would be working us really hard. We'd be sweating. We'd be groaning and screaming. And she would go, "This is where the magic happens." And we hated her whenever she said that because we're dying. And we got her a t-shirt that said, "This is where the magic happens." And, sometimes when I'm physically conditioning myself, it is grueling, but you know what? When I get sick or hurt, I can recover much better because I am physically conditioned. And the same thing goes with spiritual conditioning. If I am working my program and doing my prayers and meditation, doing all the things that this program suggests, when life on life's terms happens, I can recover better. And so I can carry the message and not the mess today. And so with that, I'll just close with keep coming back. This is where the magic happens. Thank you for letting me share.